It's going to be a 27 for sure. Yeah, we're going to need to supervise your crime scene. And let me give you my phone number for papers. 214-718-6591.
I need a supervisor to start over here, 1401 M. No, I haven't started yet, just after that homicide.
When officers arrived to these apartments in the 1400 block of Elm Street in downtown Dallas, they were acting on a wellness check after 46-year-old Jenean Chapman didn't show up for work. Officers found her dead inside her unit.
A man wanted for murdering a woman in downtown Dallas was caught and arrested in Austin. Investigators say 46-year-old Jenean Chapman was found dead inside an apartment in the National Building on Elm Street Monday afternoon.
My sister was a beacon of light for me. It's hard to wrap our brains around the fact that she's dead because it's like it didn't look like her. Don't take anything lightly at all.
Life has a way of making us feel invincible, doesn't it? When our ambitions soar and success feels within reach, we believe we can take on the world. But then there are moments when life takes an unexpected turn, and it becomes clear that we can't handle everything on our own. It's in those moments that we realize our strength lies not only in what we can accomplish on our own, but also in seeking support from those who care about us. Seeking assistance is not indicative of weakness. Rather, it can also be seen as a display of strength. This story is a story that delves into the unspoken battles, the challenges we face when we choose to walk alone. This is the story of Jenean Chapman. We're going to get into it, but first be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on updates to this story, trending true crime topics, and so much more. Now let's get into it. Jenean Chapman, a 46-year-old woman graced with beauty and ambition, grew up between New Jersey and Jamaica before calling New York her home. A Syracuse University graduate with a degree in TV, film, and production, her journey took flight as a personal assistant to Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. This role brought Janine into the royal fold. From there, Janine would venture into the music industry, working with Def Jam, and making her mark working with Russell Simmons. She would be spotted mingling with the likes of Barack Obama and Muhammad Ali. Janine was an undeniable force, the epitome of a strong, independent woman. Her journey was paved with remarkable achievements, holding the promise of an exceptionally bright future. But Janine was more than her impressive resume. Her well-traveled life had broadened her horizons and enriched her spirit. Janine's friends and family would describe her as a vivacious soul, funny, brilliant, and witty. She exuded strength, and being in her presence meant feeling unconditionally loved.
So even though she had that independent Black woman, she was the definition of that, but she had that sweet softness to her as well.
She was a force to be reckoned with. She was a role model.
Janine had a firm commitment to her work, and she shamelessly loved the color purple. Her adoration extended beyond her career. She constantly doted on her nieces, and she had a deep love for dogs. During her time working for Russell Simmons, Janine demonstrated her compassionate nature. When her friend and colleague Simone faced a crisis with her deaf dog Stevie, who had torn her ACL, Janine stepped up in a remarkable way. She temporarily took Stevie in and nurtured her back to health. Janine's act of kindness went beyond helping Stevie. It would turn out to be a rescue mission for Simone's entire family. They had no other options for their beloved pup until Janine selflessly stepped in. May 2023. In May of 2023, Janine would embark on a series of significant life changes. Her career journey led from New York City to the sunny shores of San Francisco, California, and ultimately to Dallas, Texas. It was in Dallas that she, along with her off-and-on-again boyfriend of 6 years, James Patrick, decided to take their relationship to the next level. They met in 2018 while Janine was working in San Francisco, and the move to Texas would have them residing in James's home state. Their relationship had always been complicated, but for Janine, it was a test of her loyalty to make it work. July 2023. July would be the month the couple would decide to take the plunge into matrimony. James Patrick was her Prince Charming. The couple's life as newlyweds appeared to be off to a great start. Janine had a thriving career. She married the man of her dreams, and together they resided in a beautiful upscale Dallas high-rise. After her nuptials, Janine would decide to share the happy news of her recent marriage with her mother, who, in turn, relayed the news to her sisters. Instead of the happiness that Janine might have expected everyone to share regarding the news, the revelation would leave her family utterly flabbergasted.
So this is the last thing that we were just completely blindsided by this.
In the last year or so, the relationship got really rocky.
They hadn't seen this coming at all. They knew that Janine wanted the engagement ring, the gown, and the flowers, but no formal wedding ceremony had taken place. Janine and James had eloped. And regrettably, the family had not been included in any of the arrangements. Given the somewhat rocky nature of Janine's off-and-on-again relationship with James, the idea of marriage had never crossed their minds, let alone it happening so suddenly. It was indeed an unexpected twist that took everyone by surprise. Besides, the family didn't feel they were all that familiar with James. But what the family did know about James would have them conclude that he was not a good fit for Janine. In their eyes, Janine was an intelligent, well-traveled cosmopolitan go-getter, while James was a constantly out-of-work layabout who cloaked his possessive nature behind a charming facade. According to Janine's sister, Shireen, Janine was charmed by his magnetism, but she saw through his mask and never truly liked him. Janine's sisters found James to be arrogant and obnoxious and would even liken him to Ted Bundy, someone notorious for his charm. And it wasn't long before circumstances would begin to unveil exactly why Janine's family held reservations about James. Financially, Janine often supported him as he frequently lost his jobs. And despite being caught in the act of cheating, James would conveniently and very often accuse Janine of cheating. Gaslighting her was one of his go-to tactics, often making Janine feel as though he was doing her a favor by being in the relationship. August 2023. While the outside world may have perceived their relationship as stable, the couple's neighbors had a very different view. And the walls of Janine and James's apartment seemed to reverberate with their frequent heated arguments and screams. The neighbors had grown so accustomed to this that they'd often dismiss it as just another episode of their violent exchanges. Some would say they mostly heard Janine screaming, while others would claim they heard them both regularly. Then as the last week of August rolled in, the situation would take a dark turn. Janine would reach out to her sister Shireen looking for sisterly advice. It was a distressing confession. She and James had separated, and something physical had occurred. James had crossed a dangerous line. choking Janine to the point of her losing consciousness. Upon learning this horrifying incident, Shireen implored Janine to leave and come and live with her. Shireen was willing to do whatever it took, even sleeping on the floor, to get her sister to safety. Shireen would also offer to travel to Texas herself, but Janine refused, saying, "Don't come." And respecting her sister's wishes, Shireen stayed away. Only now, she carries the weight of that decision with deep regret. September 20th, 2023. Roughly 3 weeks later, on the morning of September 20th, unbeknownst to her family, the situation had taken a perilous turn, far surpassing their typical arguments. This escalation would drive Janine to making a disturbing call to her workplace. During the call, she would request time off, using domestic issues as the reason for her absence. September 25th, 2023. 5 agonizing days would pass without any word from Janine, causing both her workplace and family to grow increasingly concerned. The situation became so alarming that her HR manager made a distressing call to the police, requesting a welfare check on her behalf. The call was promptly dispatched to officers who arrived at the scene on the 1400 block of Elm Street in Dallas, Texas, on Monday, September 25th, around 1:15 p.m. A little after 1:30 p.m. on that fateful Monday, the dispatcher's voice broke through the radio waves, conveying the grim information. "It's a black female. Said they haven't heard from her since Wednesday." A heavy silence hung in the air for just over 15 minutes before a female officer's voice returned, laden with somber certainty. "It's going to be a 27 for sure," she stated, using the police code that unmistakably denoted an attempted crime. It was there, inside her downtown Dallas apartment, where a heart-wrenching discovery awaited the police. Janine's lifeless body was found lying on the bed, and the scene told a gruesome tale. The apartment bore witness to a violent struggle. There was a substantial amount of blood, a toppled nightstand, and a fallen lamp. It was evident that Janine had suffered a fatal beating. The police report noted that Janine had sustained visible injuries to her neck, face, and body. Her injuries were nothing short of horrifying, hemorrhaging in her muscles, neck, and eyes, blunt force trauma to her head, as well as distressing lacerations inside her mouth, all accompanied by the presence of blood around her brain. This disturbing news left her family to describe her as unrecognizable. The exact duration of her body in the apartment remained unclear, but neighbors had noticed a disturbing odor emanating from her unit on the day of the discovery, suggesting she had been there for some time. Surveillance footage retrieved from the apartment complex revealed James's presence on the property twice, first on September 20th as he was seen loading furniture, and then again on September 22nd. Curiously, on the very day police uncovered Janine's lifeless body, James, located 200 miles away in Austin, Texas, took himself to a hospital, allegedly seeking treatment for an adverse reaction to an unknown substance. During his medical examination, a doctor noted a bloody black finger on James. When questioned about the injury, he chillingly confessed, "I got in a fight with my wife." It wasn't until the following day that the Dallas County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that Janine's death was a homicide. What initially seemed like an unexplained tragedy had now transformed into a full-fledged murder investigation. The following day, September 27th, 2023, James Michael Patrick found himself in custody in Austin, Texas. Shortly thereafter, he was extradited to Dallas, where the authorities pressed charges of murder against him. He remains in a Dallas County jail with a $1 million bond. And then later it came to light that James had a troubling criminal history. He had previously faced charges for making terroristic threats in 1993, and he also had a prior theft charge. Notably, both of these charges were ultimately dismissed. Janine's family has been thrust into a world of shock and disbelief as they grapple with the overwhelming weight of this unimaginable tragedy. It became painfully clear that Janine had been a victim of domestic abuse, a disturbing reality that was hidden behind closed doors. Even though James mistreated her, Janine wanted so much to make it work. The Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, said she had heard from Janine just a couple of months prior to her death, and she seemed so happy. Now, as they unite in grief after laying Janine to rest, her family and friends seek answers and justice for their beloved daughter, sister, and friend.
We are seeking justice for her, and we are willing to do anything in our power to make sure that happens. And we're going to seek the fullest extent of the law to make sure this guy is behind bars and stays behind bars.
They refuse to let her memory fade away without truth coming to light. Despite the tragic end to Janine's life, her family and friends remember her as a beautiful, ambitious, and independent woman. She was an entrepreneur, a loving aunt, and a passionate volunteer. Her sister Crystal describes her as a beacon of light and a role model. Janine's remarkable journey from working with the royal family to her career in the music industry to her corporate career and entrepreneurial aspirations showcase her determination and achievements. There is no doubt she was a remarkable woman, a blend of beauty, brains, and strength. She had already achieved great success in her short life. But it's essential to remember that the illusion of self-sufficiency can be a heavy burden, even for the strongest among us. Strength is also knowing when to seek help and support. As Audre Lorde wisely said, your silence will not protect you. When you're ready, reaching out and sharing your feelings can be the first step to breaking free from the darkness that surrounds you. There's an inner power within you, and countless others are here to stand by your side. You don't have to endure this pain in silence. You're never alone. If you find yourself a victim of this silent struggle, remember, in the United States, you can call 1-800-799-7233. Someone is waiting to help and support you. Janine, thank you for being an inspiring example of love and light. May you rest in peace.
My sister was a classic domestic abused woman. Don't take anything lightly at all.